こんにちは、ジャキです。日本語を習うことに興味のある皆さんのためにこの動画を作っているので、今度は英語で話します。じゃあ、始めましょう。Hi guys, I'm Jackie. I'm going to be speaking in English today just because it's easier and I have a lot to go over. I have never been to Japan. I have never formally taken a Japanese class. I am 100% self-taught. I've been learning Japanese for a little over 4 years now. Like a lot of Americans, my first exposure to Japanese was probably with anime. That wasn't really what got me interested in the language though. This is kind of embarrassing, but it was actually J-Rock. When I was 15, a friend of mine introduced me to hide Miyabi and Gak through music videos, and I completely fell in love. Actually, ever since then, like maybe 90% of the music I've listened to is Japanese. I always wanted to know what they were saying without looking up the English translation, but it wasn't until 4 years ago. I remember because I was just sitting there and I got frustrated with myself and I was like, man, I've wanted to know Japanese for years. And I made a couple attempts here and there just to learn random words, but I had nothing really serious until about 4 years ago. So I started off by teaching myself hiragana and katakana. They're actually pretty easy to learn. It should take maybe a couple days to a couple weeks depending on you and your circumstances. A lot of them look kind of the same at first. I do remember that. But the more you practice and the more you read, the easier it gets. After teaching myself hiragana and katakana, I used a website called JapanesePod101.com. They have a lot of podcast lessons. They have it from absolute beginner all the way up to advanced. It'll give you like a sample dialogue, maybe like a few minutes long, and they'll break it down. They'll do like one time slowly, one time at natural speed, and at the end they'll go over like any new grammar and vocabulary, and they'll like make jokes and stuff. I got really addicted to that website. I listened to, I think, about a little bit over 1,000 lessons on there. I got up to like, I think the upper intermediate level before I stopped using the website. It got a little bit pricey for me, honestly. Like, if you have the extra income, I still think it's a great choice. I just personally had other priorities at the time. But they're great. Another thing that I really recommend is the Genki books. A lot of people recommend them because they're amazing. There is, let me see, Genki 1. Ooh, can you even see that? Genki 1 and Genki 2. It will not focus. Here we go. But it's kind of the same thing as Japanese Pod. Like, it'll give you a little sample dialogue, little conversation to go through. All of it's in Japanese. I actually really like that about this book. I do not personally recommend using Romaji or Roman letters to learn Japanese. I think in the long run it just hurts your Japanese. So kind of back to my first point of you have to learn hiragana and katakana first. But again, it's kind of the same thing. It'll give you a dialogue, and then it'll give you grammar and vocabulary to go over. There's sections in the book to quiz yourself. There's a section at the back for like beginner kanji, just to get you kind of used to some kanji, just the very easy ones. After you go through Genki 1 and 2, you'll probably be at N4 level of the JLPT. If you don't know, the JLPT is the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and it has 5 levels, N5 being the lowest and N1 being the highest. I personally took the N3 or intermediate level of the JLPT this past December, and I'm waiting on the results. They're supposed to come out in February, but so I personally consider myself intermediate or conversational. Once you're intermediate, it's a little bit harder to find resources. Like, a lot of them I found are kind of for the beginner levels. One thing that I've used after finishing the Genki books are these. The Nihongo Somatome. I have N3 and N2. They're sort of set up kind of like the Genki books. Like it'll give you, they'll give you grammar points and a couple sentences for examples. One thing that you will find when you get a little bit advanced is that a lot of the grammar points seem really similar with just a little bit of a different nuance. The only real way to get used to that is just a lot of exposure, which is one thing I wanted to say about the intermediate level, that this is kind of the level where you do need to be doing other things with your learning. Like you can't only do textbooks, not at the intermediate level. Whatever it is in Japanese that you like, you need to do it often. Like if you like anime, manga, books, dramas, music, like whatever it is, just you have to listen to it or read it often. One thing that I like to do, that I've started doing recently, is listen to anime or drama with no subtitles. You're not going to be able to understand everything, but you know, a couple words that pop out here and there, write them down or look them up. I have a dictionary app on my phone, and I really recommend that. Just finding any Japanese dictionary app. That way when you're listening to something, you can, and you hear a word that pops out at you, you can quickly write it down. You can keep a notebook of words you don't know and go through them. But listening to things without subtitles will really help with your listening comprehension. That was one thing that when I took the JLPT, I was kind of surprised at. I really thought that I was going to be a little bit better at. But I think watching stuff with subtitles, it's kind of like cheating. It's doing it with crutches. Like you're not really listening. So even if it's a little bit frustrating if you can't understand everything, I really do recommend listening to things without subtitles. Or one thing that I do, because I really love Japanese music, that I've started doing recently is looking at the Japanese lyrics to songs that I like and practicing translating and seeing how close I get. Yeah, looking at the English translation later and seeing how close my translation was. Another thing that I recommend is an SNS app or spaced repetition system. The main ones I think are Memrise and Anki. You can play around with both of them in the beginning to figure out which one works better for you. Most people, it seems, prefer one over the other. I personally like Memrise. But you can look up like JLPT grammar or vocabulary. I use it a lot for vocabulary. You do, I will say, have to keep up with the reviews though, because sometimes like if I've been slacking for like a week and I come back, it'll be like 1,000 words to review. But that is really great for vocabulary. Another free resource is Japanese Test for You. I like that website a lot. It has also grammar by the JLPT level. Another website is Wasabi Japan. They don't have it by JLPT level, I don't think, but they're another really good one for grammar. They break everything down really nicely. They'll show you like the comparison between two different grammar points and the differences between them, because sometimes, again, like they'll be really close in meaning. Another thing that I personally actually really like is social media. Facebook and Instagram for me. Facebook, I started out just translating my own posts. Like I'll post it once in English, and then underneath that I'll put it in Japanese. Most of the people on my friends list don't speak Japanese, but it's not really for other people when I do that. It's just to give me some translating practice. Instagram's actually better for connecting to other people. I'll do the same thing. Like I'll do it in English and Japanese, but then on Facebook you can, the tags, you can do your tags in Japanese too, so then Japanese people can follow you. I've actually made a decent amount of Japanese friends through Instagram, and it's really fun having conversations back and forth, and you can look up tags for whatever it is you're interested in. Just try looking it up in Japanese. Like say you want to look up autumn foliage, just hashtag koyo. But yeah, I've met a lot of Japanese people on there. I really recommend using Instagram. I know it sounds weird, but it works. A couple other websites are italki and Hi Native. Italki is a language exchange website, so you can help someone learn English while they help you with your Japanese. I've actually never personally messaged someone on their website, but I get tons of messages from Japanese people. They're always wanting to learn English, and a lot of them are really friendly and they take the initiative, so most of the time on these websites, you don't even have to message anyone, I've noticed. But I do recommend that more as a intermediate learner. Like, I tried that when I was a beginner, but I found that I was getting frustrated in typing because there would be kanji I didn't know, or the conversations would just really quickly get more advanced than I was ready for at the time. But if you are intermediate, I do recommend at least trying to make some Japanese friends. I actually found through italki a girl who had moved to my city from Japan last year. We haven't met in person yet, but I thought that was really neat. So maybe you guys can find some Japanese people in your area to practice with. Hi Native is a really good one. It's not really a language exchange website. It's more of like a question-based thing. Like, you can say, how's my pronunciation, or what's the difference between this and this, or how do you say this in Japanese, or it's just a quick way to get people to correct you, to have natives be like, oh no, that's not right, or oh, you're doing great, you know, and you can help them with their English as well. Let's see, anything else to go over? Oh, review. I really do